We are back. The international break is done and it's a short trip down the river for today for a Premier League London derby. It's a tricky test for Chelsea's first ever visit to the Brentford Community Stadium. The Blues and the Bees are both buzzing after brilliant beginnings. Bring it on. Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. I'm in the company of Claire and Elizabeth for today. How are we, team? Are we well? Are we good?
Fantastic. Thank you, Joe. Nice to see you. After being
you too. I know. It's weird. We're back in our unnatural habitat.
Come on, I've got my Chelsea tracksuit on. If you're playing the part.
Come on. And Elizabeth, you're in Madrid, aren't you?
Yeah, so I'm back in Madrid. Super happy and excited for Chelsea to be back playing this match day, and can't wait for the game, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, it does feel like it's been forever since we've been able to talk Chelsea. So let's crack on with that. It's been an international break. It's been a good international break as well. You know, all the players that are coming back. One player that's not involved today, of course, but he did have a lot to celebrate in the international break. Is Thiago Silva passed 100 caps for Brazil this week, which is a magnificent achievement. Only the 7th person on that list to make 100 caps. You're looking at the names ahead of him as well. Cafu, Roberto Carlos, Neymar, Dani Alves, some absolute superstars. And rightly so, very, very pleased to have passed that. He took to social media for that. Clary seems to be one of those players that keeps just getting better with age. And it feels unfair every time we mention his age because that feels like it should be a criticism when it's certainly not. He's just superb, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a fine wine, isn't he? He just keeps getting better and better. I think that is it too soon to call him a legend? I think imagine playing next to him, how calm and cool and just like he's just constantly always in control, isn't he? And I think what I like to see actually, at the moment it looks like he's taking it year by year, season by season, and just keeping up with times, looking after his body, and doing it for country and club. I mean, I'd like to know what is in his water because I definitely have some.
The thing is, as well, is he's playing in South America. He's playing in South America, so the journey time is long as well. So it's the additional travel and stuff like that. Another man that's had a brilliant international break has been Andreas Christensen. I mean, he's another one. He's had a sensational 7 or 8 months, and it's obviously now a huge part of not only Chelsea but Denmark as well. They went deep in the Euros, and he's getting a lot of credit for the way that he's been playing recently. He's another one, Elizabeth, who is coming to, I suppose, the best form of his Chelsea career now.
Yeah, I mean, he has been so incredibly impressive for Chelsea. And I think the thing that speaks the most volumes about this is that Thiago Silva was starting for Chelsea last season. He got injured and Andreas Christensen came into the games. And those are massive, massive shoes to step into. But he was able to do it seamlessly. And he really hasn't put a foot wrong. He's kept so many clean sheets and just been one of the main pillars of that Chelsea defense. So incredibly sturdy, strong. And we're really starting to see the best of Andreas Christensen.
Absolutely right. Hopefully he can bring some of that Denmark form as well, continue that in a Chelsea shirt. 2 other players that have had brilliant international breaks and we're hoping can hit the ground running again. Now they're back in Chelsea Blue is Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, as Germany became the first team to qualify for the World Cup. Both of those playing instrumental roles and doing brilliantly well. There's so many little narratives and stories, Claire, aren't there, about players that can go away and find their niche and find their kind of a bit of form to come back from. But both of them two finished their Chelsea spell beforehand playing well and have carried that through into international. Feel greedy wanting them to carry it on again, but hopefully they can.
Well, I think, you know what, it will give them life, won't it? I think I'd say so many times, changing the environment, changing that kind of expectation. They play different roles, have different responsibilities, but the same, the commonality there is actually winning and scoring and playing well. Hopefully they can take the confidence back into the Premier League. As you said, the narrative changed so quickly on international level and also in the Premier League. So I always, they must be tired, but actually it's not. I think as soon as you stop, that's when you get tired. They keep going. They keep feeling the life and the injection of the energy. They can bring that back into the training. And I've seen that actually. I've seen some of the training post-international break and it seems quite lively. So.
They seem to be having a lovely time. So they do seem to be having fun at Cobham as well, which I really enjoy seeing. Chelsea, I've seen extras. If you don't watch those on Chelsea YouTube, go and check them out because they're very, very cool. Another player that had another brilliant international break, scored his first England goal, was Ben Chilwell. Now, I feel that whoever's looking after VAR or whoever's looking after offsides and goal line technology, they're not Ben Chilwell's best friend at the moment, because he's not allowed to celebrate, is he? There seems to be scores, and then we have to wait a little while before he's allowed to celebrate. But finally, he was allowed to celebrate, Elizabeth, and a great goal. And it's been, for the last couple of weeks, for a player that, at the start of the season, didn't look like he was getting in to start with. Marcos Alonso seemed to be. But now it looks like Ben Chilwell could potentially be Chelsea's first choice left back, left wing back going forward.
Yeah, I think it speaks really highly to both Marcos Alonso and Ben Chilwell that there's so much competition for that left wing back spot. And it was never a doubt to me that Ben Chilwell will get back into the side. I think just not having played for a while takes a toll, and he just has to get back up to match fitness. But he's scored some absolutely brilliant goals. He had a really great volley against Southampton as well. So I'm excited to see what he can do and start kind of gaining more and more momentum going forward.
Absolutely right. Someone that is flying as well at the moment. Seems another international break, another stat load of goals for Romelu Lukaku. Standards he scored, and it was an absolute beauty as well. He's got 68 in 101 caps for Belgium. I mean, Claire, those are almost Claire Rafferty numbers, aren't they?
Listen, you're making me blush here. I know you can't tell, but now I am blushing. Mine were mainly own goals. I know I make that joke every single time I'm on, but they're definitely. Look, he's come into the team. He started really well. He's been under a little bit of criticism, hasn't he, lately for not scoring as much for Chelsea as people expected after the start. But look, he creates what he does off the ball. People are saying they can figure him out. Actually, he's such a talent. He's got so many different offerings now. He's worked on his game. He's gone away. He's done fantastically with Belgium. Look, I just pray they can turn up today. I'm a little bit nervous about this game, by the way. Can you tell? I don't know. I think hopefully he can bring back his form from Belgium, especially against the likes of Brentford. He can show what he's made of.
Absolutely right. Well, I can bring you the breaking team news that Romelu Lukaku does start up front for Chelsea. The full team is Edouard Mendy in goal, Andreas Christensen, Trevor Chalobah and Malang Sarr making his first Chelsea Premier League start. Cesar Azpilicueta captains the side. Ben Chilwell back in the side as well. Mateo Kovacic and N'Golo Kanté, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Timo Werner and Romelu Lukaku as well. We are joined by Lee Parker, who is pitch side at Brentford for us. Lee, I don't want to bombard you, mate, but please can you enlighten us formation-wise, because there's a lot of players there that can play all over the pitch and I've no idea.
Oh, absolutely right. But you've run through the team there. Absolutely, it's a back three of Trevor Chalobah and Andreas Christensen, Malang Sarr making that first Premier League start. It's a three-man midfield. Ruben Loftus-Cheek holding just behind N'Golo Kanté and Mateo Kovacic as the goalkeeper just come past us as they go out to warm up. It's Aspie at right back, Ben Chilwell, who we were discussing in the show there, starts at left wing back, and a two-man strike force, Timo Werner just off of the main man, Romelu Lukaku.
That seems to be a strike force that all Chelsea fans want to see, Lee, in terms of Romelu and Timo. In terms of you get better access than all of us, you see things that we don't. In training, do you see those two linking up quite a lot?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing about the manager is that he'll look at different formations, different personnel, and that's something he's alluded to when speaking to us just prior to the international break and again this week as well. He does have personnel, and you touched on it there, Joe, as well. People that can play in different positions, so it lends to the fact that he can tweak it depending on the opposition. He can tweak it game to game. And when the games come thick and fast, as we know they're about to in the next 3 weeks, 7 big games across 3 competitions in the next 3 weeks, then they are going to need to tinker with it. And it was interesting talking to the manager just prior to the international break. He said the thing is, one of the frustrating elements is that teams now know how to play against Chelsea. So people are almost working out their style of play. So it's up to him, up to the technical staff here at the club to work out how to get around that. How to counter that.
I was listening to your Chelsea Mic'd Up podcast, Lee, and if you haven't listened to it yet, please do go and check it out. They had a great interview with Thomas Tuchel. Happy birthday to Brandon as well, by the way. It's his birthday today, isn't it? One of your co-presenters, his birthday. So happy birthday, mate. But you were speaking to Thomas Tuchel. Brilliant interview, really cool insight. What again? Every time I hear the manager speak, and he speaks differently to yourself and people that you're with because of the access and the relationship you have with him. But he always seems like one of those people that whatever decision he makes, you trust. And I imagine that as a player, when he asks you to play a different role or a different position, you go, it's Thomas Tuchel. I'll trust him. I'll do that. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you said that he's playing behind N'Golo Kanté and Mateo Kovacic today. This position at 5 or 6 years ago, we were talking about Ruben as playing as a number 9 under Maurizio Sarri. So this is a polar opposite, but you trust that Ruben will do that, and the manager has seen something to make him probably one of the best in the league in that position in the next fortnight, the way that he turns things round.
Absolutely, you're spot on, and I think the manager spoke about it, didn't he? As you rightly said. Thanks for the plug, by the way, for the podcast. Really enjoying that this season. But it is interesting. It almost turned into a Ruben Loftus-Cheek themed podcast, and it was something we discussed as well. Different managers playing in different roles. So coming through the academy, he would, I guess, be the archetypal box-to-box midfielders who play as a 6 or an 8, and then, as you rightly say, different managers like. I think he admits he played probably his best football under Maurizio Sarri. He was playing as like a winger. But then he can drop deep. But I think what we've seen in recent weeks under this manager, Thomas Tuchel, is that he's given him that freedom to just turn and run at defenders and scare the life out of them once again. And that's an attribute of Ruben's game that we sorely miss, didn't we? And I think, speaking to Ruben himself, it was good for him to get away last year and have that run of game time and build up on that fitness. And we're seeing the benefits now. And you desperately want it to work out for Ruben. He's such a good guy, it's such a good story, and he's such a good player. And fingers crossed we see the very best of him here today.
Absolutely, and I know that we're not in the business for complaining. I know that some teams have been dealt a tougher hand in terms of coming back from international break, and players that have had a really tight turnover. Obviously, Thiago Silva unavailable today, but you go through the team in terms of Trevor Chalobah and Malang Sarr, and even some players that won't have been involved at the highest level internationally in the last couple of weeks. I know that when you spoke to Thomas Tuchel earlier in the season, he said it gives players an opportunity to be sort of in his eye line in front of him during the international break to prove a point and show him every day in training. Do you think there's maybe a little bit in that, and why we've come into this with a little bit of a different selection today, because he's seen those players deserving an opportunity?
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that one of the good things about Thomas is that he said the door is always open, irrespective of age, irrespective of background. And when he first came through the door back in January, he said, look, it's a clean slate for everyone. We saw people like Tony Rudiger come to the fore. Unfortunately, misses out for injury today. But my goodness, what a consistent player he was last year at the start of this season for Thomas Tuchel. So he doesn't judge anybody on previous records or anything like that. It's what he sees in training, as you were spot on in saying there, Joey. He'll see what he sees in training, and he'll pick his team in accordance with that. Malang Sarr's obviously been part of that group since pre-season. He'll see something in him that he knows he can trust. Trevor Chalobah has obviously proven that in recent weeks as well. An exciting team, and if things work out well, and I'm sure they will today, then gives the manager more options as we get into the business end of the season, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. Lee, thank you so much, mate. Brilliant as always. Enjoy the game, and we'll catch up with you in a little while. Thank you very much, mate. Top man. Just on that then, Claire, because Lee spoke about the opportunity for players to come in and sort of take their opportunity. Andreas Christensen, we mentioned him a little while ago. He got his opportunity really when Thiago Silva got injured in the first couple of weeks under Thomas Tuchel, and hasn't looked back since. Trevor Chalobah's another one. It's another opportunity today, and a player that we've not seen a huge amount in Malang Sarr, but a player that played deep in the Champions League last year at Porto. We know his ability, we know his quality, and even pre-season we saw what bits of him. So he's another one now. You think if he plays well, he could be in for a run of games.
He'll be working every single day in training to be given this opportunity. You mentioned trust there. Lee was mentioning about he doesn't rule anyone out. He gives everyone an opportunity, and it is about the adaptability. As a player, you want to feel valued, and the fact he does trust. The likes of Ruben coming in, Christensen coming in off the back of injuries, Sarr coming in. That actually sends messages throughout the squad, even if you haven't been given a chance in the game today. You never know. 2 weeks' time, you might. So every single day in training, you're going to put in your all because you know there's a potential. And there's nothing worse than not having that potential when someone being set in stone. So I think that from Tuchel is fantastic and great man management.
And also, Elizabeth, that we look through the squad today, and I think aside from Romelu Lukaku, and obviously he didn't play the first game because he hadn't joined the club yet, but other than that, I don't think there's anyone that's been an ever-present, really. I think that's such a positive to be in this position, whether it be injury, whether it be, suspension, illness, or even, the travel restrictions that we see with Thiago Silva that ruled him out today. But we're not sort of heavily reliant on one specific player playing. It's not kind of... Mason Mount's on the bench today. We've been doing shows, and every Chelsea fan in the last sort of 9 or 10 months, if Mason wasn't started, you'd be panicking. Whereas now you look at it and you think, we've got such a good squad, such good balance, that everyone's worth an opportunity.
Definitely. I think it's a credit to the squad depth that we have. But as Claire said, it's also a massive credit to Thomas Tuchel that he's managing the team, managing expectations so that none of the players are getting frustrated with their lack of game time, because they know that if they impress in training, they're going to be given their shot in a game at some point. And that's what we're seeing, that the players are training extremely hard, and Thomas Tuchel is rewarding these players by having them start, and they're taking their chances. And I'm just so happy to see this, especially the likes of Chalobah, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, now Malang Sarr getting a start as well. It's really, really great to see.
Such an exciting perspective from a Chelsea fan to be, isn't it? Really, really is at the moment. And obviously, there's quite a lot of reaction coming into team news. If you want to have your say, make sure you do send us your tweets. You can tag us in it. Use Matchday Live as a hashtag. Just make sure you get them to us, and we'll find them definitely, because there's been quite a lot of excitement, rightly so, about the lineup. And that's brilliant as well, because like we keep saying, there's so many options, so many opportunities for people to take their opportunity and play a part. So there's so many really cool perspectives that are coming in. So lots of Ruben Loftus-Cheek loving, as you'd rightly assume. He's been fantastic, and it is going to be a tough game today. It's going to be a good atmosphere. We saw Arsenal struggle in the first game of the season there, as the first one of saying, and obviously plenty more Ruben loving. So we're going to get more of that, but it's now time for the social. Hello and welcome. This is The Social, the part of the show where we dive into everything to do with being a Chelsea fan across the timeline. So make sure you get us involved with this. We have our overseas guest with us today, which is Brett. Brett, mate, how are you? You well?
I'm well. How are you guys?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Talk us through where you are at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm down at my pub here in Sacramento, California. Down here at Old Tavern. We meet weekly, even at 4:30 a.m. for the matches.
Amazing work. Brett, we're going to have a proper chat with you in a little while where we could talk about all this sort of stuff. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. Let's get straight into today then. Because we're playing Brentford for the first time, the theme of today's show is new Premier League opponents, okay? So we do show and tell every week. Brett, you're going to be the judge on this one. So we've each picked a goal. Myself, Elizabeth and Claire have each picked a goal against new Premier League opponents, which we think is the best goal against new Premier League opponents. I'll go first, right? So my goal is Pedro's goal against Huddersfield from a few years back. Pedro won everything in the game, absolutely everything. I think he's one of those players where massively underrated as well. When you look at his trophy cabinet, he's played for Barcelona, won everything with Spain. And every goal that he does with a bit of class, a little bit of quality, doesn't he? You know, he's just got that. He seems to always have time. Good players have always got time. Claire, you've told me this countless times. Good players find pockets of space. They've always got time.
You find your own space and make your own luck, right?
Exactly that. And the finish as well. He's calm, he's composed, roof of the net, top corner, perfect. Now, the second goal, I've got my favourite because I picked it, but I'll tell you what, Claire, you've picked Frank Lampard's goal against Hull, haven't you?
I have. Look, Lampard, we can't speak highly enough of his technique, his ability to I think the calmness he always shows, the focus he shows, he knows exactly what he wants. He makes, I don't know, we can't speak highly enough of him. I know England will be like, difficult to handle. His technique to finish and just get it pinpoint for me is so
on his weaker side as well.
I'm going to win.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's going to be a tough thing to beat that goal. But Elizabeth, you've gone Oscar versus Cardiff, haven't you?
That's right. I mean, Oscar was just one of those players that I felt like he could pull something out of absolutely nothing. And he was so strong on both of his feet, so you just didn't really know how to defend against him. And he just shoots it from outside of the box. It was absolutely incredible. I felt that it was just such like a classic Oscar goal, just the type of goal that you would expect him.
Oh, he's a top draw player, isn't he? He's one of those. He doesn't score bad goals, does he? Doesn't score. It seems that every goal that he scored, very Frank Lampard-esque. And to be honest with you, I mean, Claire, you've gone for that chip. It could have been any Frank Lampard goal because he scored 100 brilliant goals, 200 plus brilliant goals.
To be able to see he's got the space to do that it just shows the awareness, the calmness, as I was saying. I'm really pushing now for the win.
So, Brett, you've got a difficult decision. You've got Pedro's goal, opens his body up, top corner against Huddersfield, Frank Lampard's beautiful chip against Hull, or Oscar's superb goal in off the crossbar, touches it off the crossbar against Cardiff as well. 3 brilliant goals. Brett, who are you going with, mate?
All right, so Joe, Elizabeth, you guys make good points, but I got to go with Claire's goal with Frank.
Yes. Woo.
Top bins, professional goal, classic Classic Lampard.
He learned from the best, didn't he? You know, he must have been watching.
There you go.
Yeah, well,
training.
left foot goals always look better, Claire, as well, don't they? Left foot goals always look better.
I always scored accidental goals with my right foot, being left foot. Accidentally winning, so yeah.
Fantastic work, good work, Brett. Yeah, I can't hold a grudge against that. It's a great goal. Let's move on to trending, and these are all the biggest trending topics of the week across your timeline as a Chelsea fan, and it's been #Timo time all week. I've been loving seeing this. Now we know that he's found it a little bit difficult to hit a scoring run of form because there's always a flag up somewhere or a VAR decision. They want to go back to a couple more decisions back, but the numbers for himself have been fantastic. I mean, he genuinely is. Claire, he seems like one of those players that fans appreciate it when you watch the team, but players must love playing with him because of the work rate he puts in.
He creates opportunities for other players, doesn't he? But I used to love playing with them, kind of energetic, hard-working, unselfish. You know, yes, he wants to score, he's difficult to score, that pressure is on him to do so. But as you're saying, the numbers, he's done well off international break. Hopefully we can bring that in to today. But yeah, look, he works tirelessly, doesn't he? And that's all you can ask for. You'd much prefer that than someone who was misfiring or not working hard for the team. We know his qualities. Yes, it's been a bit up and down, but we keep him faith. And yeah, I mean, for me, I actually am. At first, I was a little bit like, but I love how hard he works, and that's all you can control the controllable, right?
Oh, exactly right. And again, he does score a good amount of goals, and the assist and his goal involvement is exceptional as well. And again, this is a player that I suppose as Chelsea fans we're always going to look at it from a loving perspective. But anyone that works that hard and has a decent return in terms of which he has, there's enough players in the Premier League that would absolutely love Timo Werner's record. I mean, you look at some of this is five assists and 3 goals. His involvement in games, his involvement in goals is always brilliant. He's definitely going to become a fan favourite, isn't he, Brett? I mean, we're just seeing some tweets at the moment that show how much he's loved by Chelsea fans, but he's going to become a fan favourite through the ages, isn't he?
Oh, easily. There's a reason why his name gets sung at the bridge so often, right? That song, Timo Werner. It sends chills, right? The guy works hard. That the goal in the Champions League, he opened it up for Kai. What more can we want?
Absolutely right. And he's got there's a tweet that we're going to see now, Elizabeth, about his never say die attitude. And again, I know it feels like it should be something that fans appreciate, but players also appreciate as well. That the fact that he keeps on going, there's enough criticism of players that don't score 500 goals a season because Lionel Messi does it or because Cristiano Ronaldo does it. But you're looking at a player that has such a brilliant attitude and really embodies what it means to be a Chelsea footballer.
Yeah, he's a brilliant goal scorer, and I am absolutely positive that he's going to be scoring goals more consistently. But like you said, just the fact that he works so incredibly hard, it must be so difficult mentally to have so many goals disallowed, but he doesn't let that get him down at all. He keeps working hard. He keeps working for those goals. And something that I really love about Timo is just how he works for the team as well. Like you always see him trying to run into spaces to open up space for other players to put in a pass. So I think that he's one of the hardest workers on the pitch, and soon we're going to see like the fruits of his labor.
Absolutely right. And again, something that we touched on with Lee a little bit earlier on, but there's a brilliant tweet here talking about Romelu Lukaku teaming up with Timo Werner. And Claire, that seems like a relationship that we'd love to see more of as Chelsea fans. And today we get that opportunity.
Yeah, that striking position that Lukaku takes, I think. Why don't we just change kind of the judgment that we have on these 4 players? I think it's not a negative thing for Werner to be that catalyst for Lukaku almost. So almost like just complimenting him in a different way. And we talk about strike partnerships in the history of the Premier League. This could be something incredible. Allowing the work rate of Werner, allowing Lukaku, bringing him into the game, also the speed of Werner, Lukaku coming short, holding the ball up, allowing Werner to run in behind. I think they both will learn to complement each other, and it's not just about that main man up top. We have to have different ways of playing, don't we? We have to have I think let's label a striker something else, maybe like a hard worker or something.
I think you're absolutely right, because the best strike partnerships that we've seen in the Premier League and in world football have been the ones that complement each other. You look at them throughout the ages. It doesn't have to be two players that get 50 a season. It can be players that complement and get the best out of each other. And Brett, that like Claire's putting out there, it's a really good point that Timo Werner's qualities complement Romelu Lukaku's qualities and vice versa. And that could be the absolute dream situation for Chelsea fans.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. I mean, we got Romelu, the big body guy in the middle, right? Holds up play well. Timo can run off him, right? And so, and vice versa, right? You get the goal in the box, right? With that little header from Romelu, it could be a magical partnership. I'm glad we're finally starting to see, the two up top, and I've been wanting that for a while now. So we'll see what happens today. Should be fun to watch.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Brett, let's have a little chat to you now properly then, because this is Over Land and Sea. We like to get our overseas fans on and hear a little bit more about them. So, Brett, thank you so much for joining us today, first of all, because, again, whenever we get an overseas fan on, we're very conscious of the time difference. So what time is it where you are now?
It's, let's see here, 8:50 in the morning.
8:50
a.m.
But bearing in mind, for us in the UK, this is a Saturday evening kickoff as well. So we're all thinking we've had a full day to warm up, whereas you're getting straight into it. So tell us about your Chelsea origin story then. Tell us how you fell in love with the club.
Yeah. So it was back in 2012, actually. I was in an Italian pub. It was the match we were playing against Napoli back at the Bridge. And I was in an Italian pub watching the game. And just seeing the atmosphere at the Bridge just was electric that night. And I'm sitting here watching with all the Italian people, and I was just like, oh, this is it. And so I just started watching more. And of course, we won Champions League, and now for 9 years now, every game watching. I got like 100 jerseys, and it's just crazy.
I mean, what a time to start! What a jump! Yeah. What a time to start as well, Brett. So you're definitely a good luck charm. We'll keep you around, mate, for as long as possible.
Good.
So you mentioned the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge. Have you managed to get to a game over here yet?
Yeah. I've been to about 15 games over the years. The last game I went to was against, I think, West Ham or Villa, where Mason put that goal in off Tammy. I was back in, I think, December of 2019, like right before the pandemic started. So, yeah, I've been out probably 15 times, and I'll be out in about a month for the Juve and Man U match.
Oh, fantastic, mate. Well, yeah, let us know. Definitely. It'd be great to see you. And Elizabeth, we know that obviously you split your time between New York and Madrid, but you're over next week, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm going to the Bridge for the first time in 7 years or something like that. I was planning a trip and then the pandemic hit, and so I just wasn't able to go. And now I'm super excited to get back. I'm like absolutely buzzing. I've been buzzing for months. I can't even imagine.
It's gonna be so good. We're very excited. Brett, I want to talk to you about your match day routine, because I always find this really interesting. Obviously, it's so early in the morning there. You've got different traditions over in the UK. Depending, sometimes you'll go to the pub and meet your friends and dissect the game before it starts. I know you're in a pub at the moment at 8:50 in the morning, which I'm absolutely adoring. Is this a regular occurrence?
It is a regular occurrence. Yeah, every week we're here, even for the 4:30 matches sometimes. It's really crazy. Yeah, I mean, we typically on match days will have between about 20 to 30 people. For the Champions League final here, we had about 150 here in Sacramento, California. So yeah, it's crazy. It gets crazy. But match day routine for me, it really is just getting out of bed and trying to wake up and get a cup of coffee in me and getting down to the pub to watch the game.
What a great
it's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a great way to wake up. Absolutely right. So you mentioned that you had you usually get quite a good crowd in, and obviously a bigger crowd for the Champions League final. Is that to do with your supporters club? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I'm a part of the Capital City Blues here in Sacramento, California. We were formed, I think, about 3 years ago now. We got a pretty, about 20 or 30 people who come on a regular basis. The group's been growing like crazy. Just the love that people have here for Chelsea is really special to see, right? And it's really brought us all together, the club. So, I'm bringing actually 5 members over with me when we come in a couple of weeks. So.
Oh, fantastic! Look, and again, we love hearing about the supporters clubs all over the world, because Elizabeth, you've just joined one as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I saw that they just founded one in Madrid recently. So I appointed myself, but I still have to get into it. I've been so incredibly busy with work and the YouTube channel and everything, but I'm so looking forward to it, especially Brett, from your experiences. It sounds absolutely amazing. So it's something that I definitely need to make a priority.
I'm more than happy to jump on the plane, by the way, and join you in Madrid.
Yeah.
I'm in too.
Please come. We can get tapas.
Right here is not as fun, right?
Yeah, fair point. Very fair point. Well, Brett, thank you so much for joining us again, mate. We'll chat to you a little bit more in a bit, and we're going to do our quiz soon as well. So just everyone prepare, take a deep breath and start. I would say revising, but I'm not giving you anything to revise. You're going to just have to hold tight. We'll do that in a second. But first, it's time to tick off a new ground for the Blues today. Lee Parker has been taking a closer look at today's destination in wherever we may be.
Hello and a very good afternoon. Welcome inside the fantastic Brentford Community Stadium. I thought I'd take advantage of the relative calm before the storm to give you a sneak peek and a quick look around, because if you're like me, this will be the first time inside this magnificent new arena. As you can see, very impressive, and you might have been able to spot actually over the back of one of the main stands there. Lots of cranes outside, still some construction work being done around the perimeter of this ground, and it is a wonderful spot as well. We're right by Kew Bridge Station on the River Thames, so a lovely part of London. Let's go for a quick walk, shall we? And I'll spin you around so you're not going to get dazzled by the sun. Over my left shoulder there, that is where the Chelsea faithful will be sat. We've got the goal away to the left there as well. And then the dugouts on the far side. Pitch looking to be in pretty impressive condition as well. And hopefully we're in for a very good game today. Thomas Tuchel under no illusions, though, that this will be a tough outing as well. Brentford have started very well, haven't they? Already taking points off of Arsenal on the opening day. There's that incredible 3-3 draw with Liverpool, and they beat West Ham before the international break as well. Well, this is the first of 7 big games before the next international break for Thomas Tuchel's side. And the boss speaking to us yesterday, under no illusion, he knows full well that they'll go into the majority of these games as favourites, but he won't be wanting any of his players to rest on their laurels. They know there are some tough tests that await, including this one, this big West London derby, and it really is a derby as well. Under 7 miles separating Stamford Bridge and the stadium here in Brentford. And you know I love a stat. Of course, we all love a stat, don't we? This is the 220th different ground that Chelsea will have visited in their history. I can't claim the credit for that one. All credit goes to club historian Rick Glanville and statistician Paul Dutton. Excellent work in their pre-match briefing. Essential reading if you haven't already found it over on chelseafc.com or on the Fifth Stand as well. Well, a win here would be Chelsea's 7th consecutive away London derby. That would be a record. I guess we could call it 007th, and for boss Thomas Tuchel, I think we'll all agree that nobody does it better.
The brilliant Lee Parker there for us at Brentford. It does look like a stunning ground, doesn't it? So it's a very Brentford-themed quiz for us today as well. So this quiz is, have I scored against Brentford? Right, so I'm going to give you a player, and you have to tell me if they've scored against Brentford, yes or no. Okay, all good? Everyone right with that?
Currently Googling.
I'm terrible at trivia. Terrible.
Well, I'm going to call you bluff, Raph, and you're going to start then. So, Claire, has John Terry scored against Brentford? Yes or no?
No.
Let's have a look. He has scored. He has scored,
okay.
I'm afraid.
With his head, I bet.
I mean, every John Terry goal is a great goal, to be fair, regardless, isn't it? He always seems to pop up with important goals, and it's a London club. He always seems to score against London clubs as well.
Skipper.
Okay, so next one, Elizabeth, I'm going to come to you then. Willian, has he scored against Brentford? Yes or no?
I'm gonna go with yes.
Let's have a look. He has scored against Brentford. Yes, good work. Again, William's another one. I mean, obviously, he played for London Club as well in terms of up to Arsenal. But the William free kick, pretty trademark. Loves a goal, loves a free kick. He used to have a brilliant ability as well, didn't he, of scoring free kick goals that didn't seem to suit a right footer, which I loved as well. It seemed to be... Claire, you'd have been pulling rank because of the positions that William's scoring goals. That suit the left footer, he's pulled rank and he's whipped it in.
You know what you love? I love to see, when the players just step out, like, no, out of the way, this is me. It's just exudes the confidence, doesn't he?
Right, Brett, I'm going to go with you then, mate. Diego Costa, has he scored against Brentford, yes or no?
I'm going to say no. I don't think we played Brentford that often.
Correct, mate. Yes, good work.
Yeah.
Good work. Okay, so Claire, you need this one to stay in the fight.
Okay.
Oscar, yes or no?
No, surely not, because he hasn't done. Yeah, no. I don't know why I said surely not. He's lots of goals, but I mean,
It's a stunner. We mentioned earlier, it's a stunner from Oscar. He scores. He doesn't score.
It's always
he
a
doesn't.
stunner from Oscar.
Elizabeth loves an Oscar goal.
I do.
Yeah.
He was my favorite player forever. I was so sad when he left.
You were trying to help me
Here we
out
go then.
then, weren't you?
Here we go then. Right, so it's down to the two of you. Elizabeth, Brett, straight shootout. Elizabeth, I'm going to come to you first. Fernando Torres, yes or no?
Yes.
He has, yes. Good work. Correct. Again, Fernando Torres has got a brilliant goal scoring record for Chelsea. You look back at the goals that he scored and the teams that he scored against. Very, very steady. A very good return indeed. Right, Brett, this is it then to save. If you don't, then Elizabeth wins. If you do, I haven't got a tiebreaker, so it'll be a draw. So Brett, Didier Drogba, yes or no?
I'm going to say he has scored. I'm going to say he has.
I can see why you'd have said that, but he hasn't. Strangely, he hasn't. Elizabeth, good work. Congratulations. Well done. Well done. That's a good win. I'm stunned about the Didier Drogba one, to be fair. I had to double check that because it looked like it. Didier Drogba seems to have scored against everyone, so I was stunned by that one. Right.
Joe,
Let's
I
move
don't know
on
why
to
you don't ever play in these games, by the way.
We've got to move on, Claire. We've got to move on. This is time for in case you missed it. And this is a little bit of a lighter look at the game across social media over the last couple of weeks. This is lovely. I absolutely love this. Ida Johnson was clearly a very, very proud father this week. Not only were both his sons playing for the national team, one assisted the other. This is absolutely stunning. Obviously, Ida Johnson years ago came on for his dad in his final international appearance as well. Claire, I know Ida's obviously a legend at the club, but what a lovely moment this is.
It's a fairy tale, isn't it? I think it's almost like passing on the buck almost. Look, imagine the pride you'd feel, and even in that moment, scoring and knowing the hard work. Actually, when football's in a family like that, I think it kind of probably means a little bit more. So yeah, congratulations to him.
Absolutely right. So during the international break as well, we saw one of the first changes in the dugout in the Premier League. Watford replaced Xisco Munoz with former Blues manager Claudio Ranieri. Brett, I'm going to ask you this question. What do you think the headline was? Now, obviously, the British tabloid press quite a lot of the time like a catchy headline. Any ideas what it could have been?
I mean, they seem to be switching managers a lot there at Watford. I sacked again? I don't know.
I mean, I think this is quite a good one, to be fair. Panic at the Cisco.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is quite good. I quite like that one. That's a good one. Is it? That's not bad, is it? And this as well. This is really nice. And Claire, I'd love to get your thoughts on this one because Emma Hayes has been inducted into the WSL Hall of Fame. I'm sure that you could do an entire hour and a half on stories you've got of Emma Hayes, and also I do love this job.
They're not for Zoom, I think.
I was going to say I do love this job, so let's keep it a little bit. But have you got anything you could share with us about her?
I think one thing I can share actually is every time before we play an FA Cup final or a massive game, there's a lot of sentiment behind the hard work that's put in the training ground. So on one occasion, actually before our FA Cup final, I think it might have been 2015, she gave us all a flower that she picked from her own garden and gave us a poem that she personally wrote. So at the breakfast in the morning, we had kind of a link back into what it means, what is more than football almost. So to bring you back down to earth via a lovely poem. So she's just not a fantastic footballer, she's a poet too.
That is
football manager, that is.
That is it. We are very lucky to have Emma Hayes at this football club, absolutely, and thoroughly deserve it. I love that. That's really nice. And all right, one final one then. We'll talk about is a lot of Ballon d'Or nominees at this football club. Absolutely smashing it. 5 Ballon d'Or nominees. Elizabeth, who are you picking to win the Ballon d'Or then? There's obviously, we've got a lot of names out there from Jorginho. If it had to be a Chelsea player, of course, Jorginho, N'Golo Kanté, Mason Mount. Cesar Azpilicueta, I believe, might be the one you're leaning towards, possibly.
Well, for everybody that doesn't know, Aspie is like my favorite player of all time, and I basically started crying when I saw that he got nominated for the Ballon d'Or. But if I'm being realistic, I think that the player most likely out of this Chelsea bunch is Jorginho. He had an absolutely incredible season, won the Champions League, the Euros with Italy, the Super Cup. He won the UEFA Men's Player of the Season. So I really think that he has a proper shot this year to win the Ballon d'Or.
I think, yeah, absolutely right. I think anyone would be thoroughly worthy of it. And also, just one final one. We found out Christian Pulisic's middle name this week was Mate, and I absolutely love that. That is absolutely one of my favourite stories of the day, right? Thank you so much, you three. We'll be back just before kick-off, of course. Time now to throw to the warm-up with Matt Davies-Adams and Jason Cundy. Cool.
their try and take the physicality out of the game, keeping the ball. If you have possession, you keep the ball well, and you make sure you make them work harder out of possession. That perhaps should turn that kind of narrative in your favour.
And in terms of that physicality, then, is it about offering a bit of protection to the likes of Malang Sarr? I'm looking down at the three-man defence, and 25-year-old Andreas Christensen is the senior member of that. So you kind of, obviously, he's going to be capable of playing in this game, but you're trying to shield him from getting battered about by Ivan Toney or the kind of dark arts is the phrase that you would use, but we've seen a bit of that from Brentford so far this season. So maybe just trying to keep that protection.
Matt, I think it's a great point, and I think that what looking at the team, the way we think it will line up, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ruben on the toes of Toney. Stopping that ball. Therefore, can you win the ball in front as opposed to it be a battle behind? Don't leave it with Christensen. Don't leave that a 1v1. So if they're going to go long, where they choose that option, we do have that protective. I mean, he's a fine specimen, Ruben. We know, the physicality that he's got, but in terms of his size, good in the air. I think that he may well be just perhaps a barrier to stop that being an easy pass. Make it be it becomes a riskier option as opposed to a good choice. So yes, I think that five-man midfield, but also as well, Matt, that five-man midfield, what that can allow you to do, it can allow someone to break either from the middle of the park, or the wing-backs can be even more adventurous. Go on, be a little bit more ambitious. Take a few risks, because we've got a three in the middle of the park. And if those three in the middle of the park that we've got, and Gola and Cover and Ruben, if they do decide to be a little bit more cautious, that allows the wide men to take advantage of the space, because they play a three. Can we get our wide men beyond their wide men? Certainly in the shape that they play, the space to exploit in any back three is always behind the wing backs.
That's a big ask of Cesar Azpilicueta, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised at that as well. I felt that going into this game, when I saw the team, it was a bit of a surprise. I would have thought that maybe he would have changed that around, but with Toney up top, and they've gone the 3-5-2, if they are going to go a little bit longer, he's not the biggest lad, is he, Aspie? He's not. We're not talking about in terms of the physicality. He's got a number of attributes that we know how good he is and how brilliant he's been. But one thing he hasn't got is size, and you can't teach someone to grow. So in terms of that, I can see why he's done that. James, again, not the natural option because, again, of his size up against someone like Toney. So I think there's some real thought gone behind this. But I agree with you. When you look at the back three, I'm surprised James hasn't started instead of Aspie.
Right, if you're late joining us, I'll just remind you about the competition that we are running with our official training wear partner, Trivago. They're bringing some incredible prizes for Chelsea fans. Trivago brings the worlds of football and travel together in order to offer epic experience. Last month, 5 fans won the Trivago Getaway of Champions competition, which included matchday hospitality tickets for a Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge, as well as flights and hotel accommodation, an exclusive meet and greet with a Chelsea legend, and a behind-the-scenes tour of the stadium. This month, Trivago giving more fans than ever the opportunity to win a trip to Stamford Bridge, with 21 chances to win tickets to a Premier League fixture in November, either Chelsea versus Manchester United or Chelsea versus Burnley. Many of the tickets up for grabs are hospitality tickets, so enter now to be in with the chance of winning Premier League tickets for you and a friend this November. The competition's open until midnight on the 27th of October. You can enter by signing up at chelseafc.com/competitions/Trivago. You must be at least 18 years old. Terms and conditions apply. And let's talk a bit about Timo Werner then, Jace. I feel like we're always having the same conversation about confidence with him, but this is a guy who scored 4 goals in his last 5 games for club and country. He ought to be pretty confident, hasn't he? It's a given.
Yes, and look, he scored 2 goals when he went away in international duty. He scored, of course, his first goal since April against Southampton last time out. He's been a little bit unlucky. 16 goals have been denied via VAR, and there's 2 arguments you could say. Okay, well, maybe stay on side is one of them, and I get that. But there have been a number of goals, in particular the one against Southampton, where you can say he's been desperately unlucky. it does feel like there's a moment where he could really start to take advantage of those opportunities where I've seen enough 1v1s with goalkeepers. I think there's an area away at Fulham under Frank last year. We ended up beating them 1-0. Mason scored a goal, he went down 10 men. But right before the end, he had a 1v1 with the goalkeeper. And they're the moments where the opportunity presents itself, take it. He seems to be a bit more of an instinctive striker as opposed to someone we're given time and space to think about things. I'm not convinced that he's brilliant at that, but instinctively, I think he's a striker in the box where can take advantage of situations where they fall to him. Given time, think, not convinced. And if he can turn those situations in his favour, then I think we'll start to see more and more goals.
The final question I'm going to ask you, the final of our 3 points for 3 points, is about being aware of late goals. Brentford have got a few of them this season. That feels particularly pertinent on the first game back after an international break, where there'll be a lot of legs that maybe aren't as fresh as they otherwise would be, and minds as well, I suppose. So it is about being switched on until minute 95, as Villa have found out already today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Manchester United, Leicester scoring late on in that game. And when you come out of an international break, teams like Chelsea obviously are going to have a lot of players that are away, but that comes with the territory. I kind of find it odd that should be an argument, because you sign world-class players or players that are going to be in international sides, and let's be honest, most Premier League sides have them now. You're going to find this. You're going to find this. We have a deep enough squad. Going back to the point you were making about late goals, we've seen this before with Brentford, Liverpool. Where they're in the game, controlling the tempo of the game. I'm not necessarily taking the game away from them with the scoreline, but break their spirit in terms of keep possession. We're a good team, we can keep possession. If we do keep possession and we do dominate that side of it, even at 1-0, you can actually win the game by not necessarily win it by the scoreline, but keeping the ball, breaking their spirit, not giving them opportunities. If the game goes late and it is and the scoreline is very slender, whether it be a 0-0 or 1-1 or 2-1, whatever it might be, you've got to make sure that in those situations you don't give them any hope. And hope is what they're all about, because they're a very, very good side at clinging on and believing hope is still there.
Well, we're hoping that Chelsea can get the job done. Kick-off less than 15 minutes away now. Jason and I will be back with full match commentary of Brentford versus Chelsea. But for now, I hand you back to Joe and the team.
Here we go then, not too long away from kickoff. Chelsea away at Brentford this afternoon in the Premier League. A London derby, a new London derby to add to the list as well. Let's get into Play Predictor then. Play Predictor has slightly changed now, so you can get your predictions in up to 5 minutes before kickoff. So if you haven't done that already, you've got about 90 seconds, I reckon. So crack on if you go and head over and get that done now on the fifth stand. Oh, you got 5 minutes. My timing's off. You got 5 minutes or so. Don't worry. Don't panic. Calm. That's me. So you got about 5 minutes to get those predictions in. A load of really cool prizes to win. And if you win the whole season overall, you could have a little VIP trip to the bridge as well. So that's very, very cool. Let's start then. I'll get your guys. I'll divvy it up a little bit. So there's loads of different things that you can have to predict on the Play Predictor app. So Claire, I'm going to ask you for your first. I'm going to ask you for the score prediction. What are you going for today?
3-1. I'm going for bold.
3-1. Okay.
Chelsea, by the way.
Is it a comfortable 3-1 or is it a close 3-1?
It's 1-1 until half time, and then we capitalise after in the second half.
Okay. I'll take that. Elizabeth, first goal scorer, please.
I'm gonna say Lukaku. I feel like he's gonna score today.
It feels like a safe bet, doesn't it? It does feel like he's the one now. Every game last year, I went Cesar Azpilicueta every single game because I was like,
I love that. I love that.
Play. It didn't work for me, Elizabeth. I'm not going to lie, it didn't work. So not the great, but I'm going Lukaku today as well. Brett, I'm going to ask you then for it's a bit of a difficult one, mate. I'm going to ask you possession stats. So what do you think percentage wise?
I'm going to say we get 65% of possession today. Yeah.
Do you know what? Before, and I know this sounds really strange, before I used to think 65 was like absolutely dominant. But we're consistently 60s, aren't we? In terms of the way we boss the ball. And you'd expect that again today. Do you think it'll be a comfortable one today, Brett?
I'm going to say 2-0, but I'm going to say the second goal comes after the 80th.
Okay. Again, it does feel like one of those games, doesn't it, Claire, where we know how good Brentford are because we've seen it already this season. Even in the 3-0 with Liverpool, they're a very, very good side. They've acquitted themselves very well as well. Yeah. Is there a little bit, though, that momentum for them, it was on the up. That kind of international break might have scuppered it a little bit, or am I just clinging on to something?
Yeah, I hope so. I think they're tenacious, aren't they? They're full of life, full of enthusiasm and confidence. I think they've only lost one. And for me, at the beginning of the week, actually, I was quite nervous thinking about the momentum that they had before the international break, as you said. But I think you might be right. I think that it might have scuppered this a little bit. I think it gives us allows us to regroup and come back in, and hopefully put a stop to their actual fine form that people have been a little bit surprised by. But I think they've got a fantastic manager, haven't they? We need to be very cautious. I think they're a physical side too. But yeah, hopefully, I think you might be right, Joe. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And also, Elizabeth, it's the start of a fairly good run for Chelsea. Malmo in the Champions League, Norwich, we've got Burnley in the next couple of weeks as well. Newcastle before they're allowed to go big in the transfer market as well. So it feels like it's quite a good time to play potentially Brentford, because that they are a very good side that seem to be getting better and better. So you probably prefer to play them now than perhaps in a busy, congested sort of Christmas period.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you and Claire have been saying, I don't think it's going to be necessarily an easy game or a straightforward win. Like, I think that they are a very strong side, but it could be a really good opportunity for Chelsea to start building momentum and get a win, because we do have really favorable fixtures going forward. And in order to compete for the likes of the Premier League, you need to start stringing together wins. So I think that this could be the perfect opportunity to start doing that.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Brett, Elizabeth, Claire, thank you so much for the show. We're going to cross over to commentary very, very soon. But first, let's hear from the main man. Time to hear from the boss, Thomas Tuchel.
Thomas, first of all, how beneficial has this international break been for some of your returning injured players?
For them, yeah, for them it was, and for me. It's always nice to have some days off, but honestly, we don't like it too much because all our players are traveling and playing, and we have to wait for so long to have them back. But for Reece James, of course, was good. For N'Golo Kanté was very good. Pulisic is still a bit struggling, but yeah, the others are back, and it's good for us.
Certainly is. It's been a tough run of games to open the start of the season. What are your expectations for this next run of 7 games before the next international break?
Well, we are the favourites in all of the 7. If you look at the 7 games, we are the favourites. And does it change too much? No. And it's important that we don't change our approach, but we play in the same way than we played against Southampton, where we have also been the favourites, and we don't over-expect from us. So don't look too much at the results. Don't expect 7 wins, because it does not bring you nowhere. We have to be ready every single game. We have to be aware that all of these teams will overperform against us. They will play on their top level and give us a hard time. And once we have this expectation right, I think that helps us to get the attitude right and hopefully the results right. So this is the process where we are right now. After national break, it's never easy, and playing Brentford at this time is also a tough one.
You mentioned Brentford there. I mean, they've shown how dangerous and I guess adaptable they've been in the opening weeks of the season. What do you admire about Thomas Frank and his style of play?
Well, they have a unique approach, and then they made it and showed resilience when they did not win the playoffs 1 year ago, and then they came back this season. They did very, very good. They catch the momentum from the very first start. They were not shy. They were brave, courageous. They have deserved results. They have a lot of points, and yeah, credit to them. But we will come and try to win, and we can accept that it's a tough one right now to play there. But it's Premier League, and we're up for it.
Your away form this season and also last year has been really impressive. Is there a different mentality? Is there a shift when you're preparing for games like this away from home?
Normally I would say not. So let's see if it stays like this, because with spectators it's more difficult to play in away games. Maybe it shows, I don't know, I have no explanation. It can also be that we feel a little bit under pressure at home, or like maybe the opponent are a bit more reactive when they play at Stamford Bridge. Maybe they are a bit more offensive, and that gives us a bit more space to find for our transition game. can be many reasons. I have not found this very reason why it is so, but I like that we are strong in away games because it shows that we are well prepared and we are confident enough to impose our style of play. Yeah, it is more difficult now in Premier League with the spectators back, but we also enjoy it.
Now, I know you're not a massive fan of individual accolades and awards, but it must give you a real sense of pride to see 5 of your players on the shortlist for this year's Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, because I think the boys, they deserve the Ballon d'Or as a team. Like we played as underdogs in the competition of Champions League, and we overperformed from every stage on in these matches, and we performed under high pressure and on big stages against top teams and won a very important and very big title. So they can give the Ballon d'Or to the guys as a team. I would be very happy for this award. Of course, I know that this does not exist, and when you have 5 players on the list, it makes us very proud, and I'm happy for every single player if he's on the list, and if he can win it, even better. But it's not the most important in football.